Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the Built on Boxes YouTube channel. My name is James White. I am the trucking lawyer. We're going to talk today about some DOT compliance, on the road compliance, as it relates to box trucks. And so the reason for the video is because I've been on some of the box trucks groups lately, and I've seen there's still quite a bit of confusion about what you have to do in order to run a box truck. So I wanted to just address a few things that seem to be commonly misunderstood. Now, compliance is going to become a bit of a series on the channel because I'm going to do several different types of compliance videos. But for this video, what we're going to specifically discuss are electronic logging devices, hours of service requirements, whether or not it's legal to team drive in a box truck, and whether or not you have to go to the weight scales. First and foremost, you have to understand that if the vehicle was made in 2000 or later, or after the year 2000, whatever it is, there's a cutoff of 2000. If the vehicle was made after the year 2000, there is an electronic logging device requirement that the FMCSA instituted. Now, there are a few exceptions. If you are starting your day and ending your day, and you're traveling less than 150 miles total, you don't have to keep an electronic log. You can keep, I believe it's record of duty status and essentially paper logs or time cards. You don't have to have an electronic logging device. However, that applies to very few people, very few carriers, specifically carriers that are looking to do box truck work in 2021 are not looking to stay within 150 miles of the house. Now, they might like to do that, but the reality is, in order to make great money, you're gonna probably have to go outside of that area. But if you're a company that is doing like local appliance deliveries or something like that, and you're gonna start and end, then you don't have to worry about the electronic logging device. If you're not that person and you're operating what the FMCSA considers a commercial motor vehicle, which is any vehicle with a GVWR over 10,000 pounds, and you're using it in interstate commerce, you have to use an electronic logging device. So something like Keep Trucking or Geotab or something like that, you have to have it in order to be in compliance. Now, if you're in a rental vehicle, there's an exception for the first 8 days. And if your electronic logging device fails, you're supposed to keep a few days worth of paper logs in the vehicle, and you can use paper logs up to 8 days in a 30-day period. So if you're in a rental vehicle and you've had the vehicle less than 8 days, you can use a paper log because you get an 8-day exception. And if your ELD goes down while you're over the road, you will have to switch to paper logs, and you can use paper logs for 8 days out of 30. Otherwise, you're required under the law to have electronic logging device. The second topic is hours of service. You are not allowed to drive a box truck longer than 11 hours in a day. And you're not allowed to be on duty for longer than 14 hours in a day. And then you have to have a 10-hour break. So the reason it's 11 is you're required to take a 30-minute break within 8 hours of beginning your on-duty status. And so if you start your day at 8 a.m., by the time 4 p.m. comes along, regardless of whether you've been driving the whole time or whether you've just been, on duty doing other stuff like loading or unloading or filling or whatever, you have to take a 30-minute break, and you're only allowed to actually drive 11 hours during that day. So that's the rule. It doesn't matter if it's a box truck. These rules don't just apply to semis. These rules apply to every commercial motor vehicle go over 10,000 pounds. Now, I'm going to do a more detailed video about this, but it is actually illegal to team drive in a box truck because there's a specific hours of service section of the FMCSA regulation that states the only way that you can, basically that you have to have so many hours in a sleeper berth. I believe it's 7. You have to have 7 hours in a sleeper berth in order to do anything on duty. And the problem is that the FMCSA considers being in the front passenger seat of a commercial motor vehicle as an on-duty activity. And so because of the fact that most box trucks don't have a sleeper berth, it's illegal, unless you're coming off of a 7-hour break in a sleeper berth, for you to be team driving in a box truck. So I'm going to do actually a more thorough video breaking that down in the future. So I'm not going to go into detail here, but suffice to say, if you're thinking about grabbing 2 people and throwing them in a box truck and letting one drive for the 11 hours and letting the other jump in the driver's seat and drive for, you know, 11 hours, that is against the law. They can't be awake. There's nowhere for them to rest. So a person sitting in the front seat of a commercial motor vehicle, the FMCSA considers that to be on duty, and they are not resting, and you can't just sit in a front seat. And think about it, from a safety perspective, it's almost impossible to sleep adequately in the front seat of a commercial motor vehicle. It's not like you have a sleeper berth. It's not like you're sitting in the back sleeping while your partner's driving a semi. You really are not well rested, and it's not safe for you to jump from the passenger seat and drive, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in a box truck as a team drive. So if you're considering the idea of having a team-driven box truck, you need to understand that you're probably going to be out of compliance unless that box truck has a sleeper berth. And the last thing that I'm going to cover is whether or not you have to stop at weigh stations. You must stop at every weigh station according to the FMCSA rules if you're in a commercial motor vehicle over 10,000 pounds. So if you're in a box truck, it doesn't matter that it's a box truck. You still must stop at the weigh stations, every single one that's open, and you must do that in the same way that a semi is required to stop at the weigh station every single time they pass one. So there are a lot of people out there getting tickets for driving past the weigh station, and for a little while, the DOT was not stopping people that were in rental trucks because they weren't sure whether they were actually in commerce. But now I'm told by some people that I know that are DOT officers that there's a targeted enforcement effort, even if it's unspoken, because of how popular it has become to rent a box truck and use it to haul in interstate commerce. So they are cracking down on, I mean, I've been told by some DOT officers that they stop every yellow Penske box truck they see. And so they have the right to do that under the laws of the DOT and the regulatory scheme that allows them to do administrative searches. That's another area that I'll be doing a full video on in the near future to talk about the legalities of being stopped by the DOT or the police if you're in a commercial motor vehicle. But for now, you need to understand that it is illegal to drive by the weigh stations without stopping. So you guys, you know, when you're first starting out, you know, you may only have $1,000 week. You may only have a $1,500 or a $2,000 week. And if you've got $1,000 worth of expenses, or you've got $1,500 worth of expenses, you get an overweight ticket or you get an hours of service ticket, and some of that stuff costs you. I've seen tickets for $1,000 for being overweight, or I've seen tickets for, you know, missing the scale that can cost you a lot of money, and you put yourself out of business with that kind of stuff because, you know, it just takes a couple weeks of earning less than what you make to have your business opportunity lost. So anyway, appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm going to be doing again some more videos in this series talking about specific elements of compliance, but for now, these are the things that are absolutely critical that you understand about what your requirements are in a box truck. So hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you again soon.